Hi, I'm Arjan Visser, a human-centered futurist, a friend and sparring partner for entrepreneurs and diplomats who dare to pioneer. Those who shape their direction for a human-centered creative age. In this episode, I was interviewed with questions I didn't know upfront. You will hear my raw and unscripted reflection. Today, we explore how peer interaction and shared growth are vital for sustaining authentic transformation. Let's dive in. The biggest change I went through because of this work, the biggest change was actually my paradigm shift. And I still know the day that I received the paradigm shift. But I also know the years that I needed to develop the language to explain it to myself. And the journey that starts, so that renewing of your mindset is the start to transform your life, which means your knowledge, your habits, they all change. And it started with that small seed. What if my why question that I always found so interesting and important in business strategy, why? Not from a goal perspective, but the reasoning behind. The moment my why was shifted and the journey started for a bigger worldview with different perspective on diplomacy versus politics, geopolitics, the dynamics of leadership in an organization, leadership from the inside out, all words that I now can add. My future identity being leading in my future perspective and my well-being, my levels of maturity, my levels of freedom, all started with this paradigm shift that I couldn't explain to myself. It messed up everything. I needed new peers that could handle my search to language to express what happened on the inside. It was, I would nearly say, it was a rebirth moment to a new version of myself, a more extended, fuller version of myself that triggered the journey of being able to explain it to myself, feeding my belief system with what I learned, adjusting my behavior, stretching my perspective of what is possible. And a decade in, I could say the one thing that's still hardest is, do I really believe who I am? Or do I love to partner with a smaller previous version of myself because I know what to do? I need to trust who I am and act accordingly to it and not fall back on the head knowledge, the resume of what I did in the past. Because when I listen to my desires, there are not many things I want to do that I did in the past. I've outgrown them. I'm on a journey. I want to do greater works and not repeat the small works. So protecting my belief system that I really have the faith about who I am to carry what my assignment is, my calling that I sense on the inside, that's a day job. It's a daily returning mindset exercise and reflection with peers to make sure that I do not deviate and fall back. What happens when the revival of the business that we talked before about being the overflow of the internal revival, the internal change of its leaders, when that creates the ripple effect for its people, I think we have a redefinition of what team looks like. And I have been struggling my whole life with the paradigm. There is no I in team. Well, there's also no we in team. So, and then people say, but there is an I in team. Well, from a bigger context than our Greek mindset, we tend to talk about, what if the team player represents the team and the team itself emphasizes the player? And I've been struggling with that. And then I heard Jim Quick, whose work I love, mention team is an acronym for together everyone achieves more. And I think that is an important thing. If the team is the construct for you to flourish, that means that the team consists of peers. And in the context of a team, we have a shared result. And we are all in there to learn, to expand who we are, to flourish, which means there is a win-win situation in the team. And it's not just one winning at the expense of other people. So everything comes together in some kind of a microcosmos of, I am here not just to perform, but I am here to flourish. And my flourishing contributes to the team effort and to the team result. So it is appreciated, it's essential. I'm invited in the team to flourish, which in some cultures feels like this is totally new, this is weird, this is maybe even impossible, because the team assignment is more important than the players. And I disagree with that. In the next creative age, the one we've just entered, the team assignment, the team vision, and the team identity is not important than the individual. And at the same time, in the paradox, the individual assignment, calling, identity is not more important than someone else's. So I see team as the construct to accelerate shared result and individual flourishing. Leadership in the creative age is something we need to reinvent. We have just crossed over from the management age into the creative age. And in the management age, we managed things. So we didn't develop leadership. And then we found out we need to use the name the last 15 years. So we started to talk about management practices and called them leadership styles. But that's not leadership that we need for the creative age. The leadership we had before the management age was autocratic leadership, and that's something we know for a long time is not what we want, especially not when it's about a creative age where the individual is learning who he is becoming. So we need to reinvent leadership. And I believe we need to reinvent it from the inside out. So it's not a style. I think it's a healthy version of leadership, which I love to call authentic leadership. And in our personal transformation, in our personal finding out who we are becoming, we express that by inspiring others, adding values to others, and taking our responsibility for our environment. So A.L.T, to shorten it, the authentic leadership transformation, is something that is not a repetition of the past. But of course, we have all the lessons we've learned in the past. So it's not a blank sheet, but we have to reinvent who we are becoming and how we want to express that, to inspire others, to lead others with our perspective, to set others free to become the fullest version of themselves in the workplace, in the community, and at home. So authentic leadership is the new leadership needed for the creative age. And with the word authentic, I mean it is really an expression of who you are. With all your motivation, all your drivers, it's expressed in an authentic way, and it's inspirational for others, and it fuels their drivers, their intrinsic motivation.
What kind of entrepreneurs thrive in a place like the Mastermind for Arts Forum?
Not everyone is thriving in a peer environment. Not everyone is called to be a pioneer or a forerunner or a forward thinking. In business, we love to talk about the bell curve, and without explaining it in depth, a small percentage, like 2 or 3%, are the forerunners. And then you have the early majority and the late majority, and then you have the really late people, small percentage as well. In the A.L.T form, the Authentic Leadership Transformation form, to simply explain it, what is the real question that we need to ask ourselves to not feel stuck and sense who we are becoming? That's what the A.L.T form's purpose is. What's the real authentic leadership transformation question that we need to find, formulate, and start asking ourselves, so that we can prioritize answering that question and no longer try to find solutions for the symptoms of the management age that we are leaving behind. The peer mastermind is those leaders who really say, well, I'm not only one interested in the question, I'm not only interested in being provoked and be triggered. No, I really want to put the hard work to it for that personal transformation. That's a smaller group of people that really on a trust basis are vulnerable and open to each other to really find out, who am I becoming? What's my authority? What do I truly believe? What do I truly carry? I call those people the forerunners and the forward thinkers. They go to deep transformation and put their commitment where their words are. The A.L.T form is the stage before. First find the words before you add your commitment to where your words are. Visionary leaders, pioneers who understand that they don't want to follow trends, but really need to shape direction. They are all invited to join the A.L.T form, experience it, what it means to be provoked in your thinking, and have a fresh look at what's the real questions I need to ask myself. Because as leaders, we know that we empower people by asking the smart question. Let's empower ourselves by finding the smart question that empowers us, so that we are no longer stuck under a ceiling and get unstuck by following what we sense about who we are becoming and prepare ourselves for the next chapter. At the end of the revival journey, I see people being happy and sense fulfillment of who they are. They have the language to articulate why they are born in this time and age, what they could contribute. I see some kind of being proud, not prideful, but just being proud of seeing others run with it. And that happiness, that reward for their devotion in their personal journey just makes them not just grateful, but really enjoying life. At the other end, I believe that is not something that happens midlife. I believe that happens something at end of life. So that transformation journey, when we talk about a lifelong learning, then we will be in transition our whole life till we have found completion of who we are, what our calling is, what our effect is, what our reach, our people around us, what we contribute, what we add, like all those things, we find fulfillment. And then I believe that fulfillment looks like it's the fullest version beyond what we could imagine, compared to a feeling of satisfaction. And I don't have that, to be honest. I don't feel satisfied a lot. I have that tension inside of me, which makes me the forerunner, the pioneer, that I'm really grateful for my journey, my experiences, what I have, what manifested, and at the same time, there's always hunger for more. And that is explained as dissatisfaction, which in a Calvinistic culture upbringing is not really appreciated. I've learned, like everyone in my surroundings, you have to be satisfied. Well, I'm not. I'm not satisfied. And that is a drive to learn more, to experience more, to explore more, and go after that fuller identity and perspective and worldview and contribution that I sense is mine to occupy, to fulfill. So fast forward, I imagine that at the end of my transformation journey, I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied not with what I have accomplished, but what I see live through, continue in those that I was able to inspire, help, guide, whatever verb you want to add to that. And I think when we would use the word legacy, that is the legacy I foresee. Being satisfied and seeing others run with what I have inspired them to find out for themselves. I hope that answers the question. Because a transformation journey is not a destination and a goal to achieve or accomplish like what we are used to formulate and think of in the management age. There was about performance, productivity, achievement. This is about fulfillment, satisfaction, freedom, inspiring others, and joy. So it's a different dynamic in its full dimensions. So, and that's also the way that the people I work with, and more important, the people I run with into my own future. It's not about the silver bullet. It's not about fixing things. It's finding out what's hidden out there in plain sight. Get clarity, get strategies, recognize the future, seize the opportunities, and grow, mature, develop, change. All those uncomfortable, sometimes chaotic words that pioneers love. They don't want to walk paths that someone else created. They want to create paths for others. It's an internal drive. It's a desire. It's not egocentric. It's blueprint. It's design. And you have to be faithful to your design. Thank you for staying with me to the end. I believe it gave you something to think about, and I hope something to act on. I love to read your thoughts in the comments below. Next week, I'll go deeper into the power of peers with one of my peers. But if you can't wait and you're ready to explore the future with us, I invite you to join the A.L.T forum at alt.businessrevivalist.com. This is an exclusive peer dialogue for visionary leaders to step into the future together. And to make it easy, you can experience it first